session. Okay, good. So first of all, session will be recorded, as you know, and we will upload it on our YouTube channel. So if you want to review again this webinar later on, you are most welcome to go there and see it. Also, we will link to the presentation. So if you want to download the document that we will use today. Okay, that's the first introductory warning. But second, more important perhaps, welcome everyone. My name is Íñigo Cruz. I'm part of the YaSemosEuropeos team, and I will be your guide through this fantastic journey on the webinar for the competition administrators in statistics. Let's call it like that. I know there's a difference between that and statistics and macroeconomic, but just to keep it short, not to make it very long, we will call it statistics or statisticians. That should be. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing, how we are going to make it. I don't know if many of you are new in this kind of webinars or you've been already on previous occasions. So let me briefly explain. So we will give you some tips about the new model and your first questions probably that you have when you apply for an EPSO competition, especially under the new model. Then we will check the application, the part of the languages, motivation, but also some of the test part in relation with the languages. Last but not least, the work experience that's key in this competition. Remember, we will explain about the eligibility of the competition and how relevant it is for in these profiles. Then some tips and tricks that we will recapitulate regarding your application. And it's not there, but there's an extra item. We will talk about the multiple choice and about the written test as well. We will give you some ideas, insight on what it's been our experience so far in this new model of competitions and what could be some areas of study or preparation for them. So hopefully you will find this webinar useful. And of course, please, I forgot, at the end we will open micros and we will try to answer all your questions. That's guaranteed. So let's go, if you don't mind. So, well, as we are facing the new model done by EPSO, it's taking a bit like ages to implement. There's some delays due to technical failures. Apparently, those technical failures have been fixed. They are not more. So let's say, we are back to a certain optimism to see things in motion. So hopefully that will be the case. No matter what, new model, old model, the mistakes that the candidates make are always the same. That's all based on our experience. So first of all, fearing that you have a bad CV, but or you don't have enough experience. When I say that, I'm meaning that you have the years required by the competition. So once you got the minimum requirement, it's good enough. I mean, it's not a question of having 20 years of experience, otherwise you cannot do it. No, it's just if the notice of competition for your profile demands 6 years, 5 years, 3 years, 8 years, if you fulfill that rule, your CV is good enough. So don't have fear about your profile. You are good. You just need to explain to them. So don't be afraid about too many candidates. All are equally lost. In this sense, on the competition, you are at the same foot. So at the end, you depends more on the things that you do right, on avoiding committing silly mistakes, rather than in the amount of candidates. In particular, in your competition, due to the requirements, the issues in the notice, we foresee that there won't be so many candidates applying to this competition. At least candidates with real chances. We have detected that sometimes candidates to other competitions, they join competitions that are open and foreseen to have the exam earlier than theirs, so they can practice with the platform or with the exam with the computer-based test, as it is. So don't pay too much attention to the number of candidates who apply. That's usually by far not real, and could be several hundreds. If we're talking about, let's say, 1,000 candidates in one of your profiles, several hundreds could be just non-real candidates. So don't think it's too complicated as well. I mean, neither the exam or the process is complicated. It's simply different. Maybe some of you are familiar with the selection process in your home countries or other selection process in the private sector. Maybe. Here is a bit different. It's the selection process for the European institutions, so they have their own method, they have their own methodology, and they have their own process. Fine, that's it. So I need to learn the words, I need to learn how they do it. And once I learn that for one competition, I have it for all others. So be patient. Take a bit of time to learn all these small things because it's not complicated. It's simply that it's different from what you may know before. Fine. Just a question of adapting. And last but not least, and this is the worst, procrastination. So if you're watching us today, that's good, meaning that probably you will dedicate the next few days, weekend, maybe next weekend, to finalize your application. That's excellent. But please don't leave it for another day. Don't leave it for later. Don't think that, okay, no, not today, tomorrow. Yeah, yeah, no, I will do it tomorrow. No, tomorrow. No, tomorrow. And then you get 16th of July and the time is up and you cannot deliver your application. Sounds silly, right? It will never happen to you. I'm certain of it, but I promise that we have here hundreds of candidates who really happen that they lose the opportunity to apply for a competition just because they didn't pay attention because they, nah, no, I will do it tomorrow. So don't leave it for tomorrow. Do it today when possible. But take your time. I don't with this. I don't say. I'm not saying that you have to do it everything one day. Take your time, but every day advance. Don't stop. So you need to keep progressing until you deliver your application. That's this is important. I mean, we insist a lot on this because we have seen that this is probably the worst enemies you will face rather than anything else. Okay, now focusing on your competition. So on the field one and the field two, we see that the field one has more spots, 194, while the field two 48. So meaning that the requirement is a bit more stricter for the field two. So we meaning institutions and we share that view expect less number of candidates that fulfill the criteria. So that's why the numbers are so different. That's why the field one is almost nearly 4 times the amount of field two. So as simple as that. Also, with the new rules, with the new model, remember that the opinion reserve list doesn't give you the right, gives you the right to be a candidate, but doesn't give you the spot, the position, the job. You will need to apply later on in a process that still is being defined because no competition has get into that stage of having the reserve list. So still it's a little bit unknown what's coming after. But don't worry, we will inform you when the moment comes. Also, last but not least, the message at the bottom. You will see that in our presentation we will use a lot of screenshots, a lot of captions from the notice of competition. For God's sake, couldn't you do fancy colors, beautiful pictures with information from the notice of competition? Yes, we could, but then we will could fail into the risk of missing information, relevant information, or making mistakes, honest mistakes while typing or describing. So we prefer to get the screenshot from the notice because all the information that you need for your competition is there. Believe it, believe us. I mean, it's there. I mean, EPSO has improved during the last years, the notice of competition, the text. So it's quite complete. They include bold text. So they underline the most relevant parts, although the whole notice is relevant. They include how to complain if you have any issue, what to do, or when you are going to be contacted by EPSO, the duties of your position, the test, everything is there. Everything is in the notice. So please read carefully the notice. This is important. We will try to help you today to understand that notice and to see all the parts. Sure, that's why we're here. But please read the notice. You will have a great advantage compared to other candidates if you read it. Because, again, experience tells us that not many read the notice. If I may allow to make the joke of the statistics, 1 of 4 probably read the notice in full. The rest, 3 out of 4 candidates just read a general overview or they just read the application form. So don't be those. Okay, important when we are stepping into the application world in a new competition, the language regime. Remember, now we apply the new 24 language regime, meaning your application can be in one of the 24 languages. EPSO will recommend English, and they will have you will have a message in your application saying, "Well, if possible, do it in English." True, but you want to do it in Hungarian, Estonian, Finnish, Spanish, Italian. You are perfectly entitled. Also, there is the possibility to put the settings, the description of the menu to fill in different languages too. That's not related to the language that you're filling in the application. You need to mark it on your application. And then the testing, remember, there will be two languages, language one and language two. Reasoning test, multiple choice on verbal, numerical, and abstract reasoning, the three of them. Language one, field-related MCQ test and written test, language two. I will talk a bit more on the language later, but it's important to remember that. And with the single condition that language one cannot be the same as language two. Can I have language one Greek and language two English? Yes, perfectly possible. And can I have language one English and language two French? Yes, that's also under the rules. Can I have language one English and language two English? No, no way. Also, the system won't allow you. I mean, when you try to put it on the application, you won't be allowed to select the same language for language one and language two. So this is important to bear in mind. It's also the test that you will face will differ because of the language. Okay. So also, another important element to retain on the tests on the languages, as I say, the CVTs on language one, the numerical verbal and abstract reasoning. In your case, numerical is quite important to remember that it's 6 out of 10 that you need to pass the competition, or to pass this part of the competition. I mean, it doesn't matter if you get 6, 7, 8, or 9, or 10, but you need 6 out of 10. That's it. And but what if I get in verbal and abstract, I get 30 out of 30, and in numerical I get 5 out of 10? You fail. You are not accepted. What if I get 6 out of 10 in numerical and 15 out of 30 in verbal and abstract? Fine, you're in. As simple as that. So be smart. Sometimes in numerical we may get blocked when doing one exercise, move to the next one. Just mark one random solution and move to the next one. So because you only need 6 points, you don't need to get 10 out of 10. Remember, it's a passing mark. But the only thing is that you need to pass this part in order to get the multiple choice on statistics and the writing test corrected and reviewed. That's clear on the second part on the multiple choice as well, language too. So you will see that there's a difference in the language. You may be wondering probably which language should I choose between for one and the other. Which one do you advise? Based on what we have seen, I know that there are some rumors, some legends about the deficiency of the translations. Honestly, for verbal reasoning, at least for Latin languages that we have checked personally, translations were good. I cannot answer for Slavic origin languages, Polish, Czech, or others. That sometimes I hear stories about problems with the translation that they miss some part of the information. Could be the case. I don't know. So, but still, for the preparation, remember you need with the abstract you only need 15 out of 30, and that's one thing to consider. Another element to ponder or to consider for the field-related multiple choice test is the fact that maybe you are used to work in one certain language for the area of statistics. Maybe you work in a national entity, and you have seen all the statistics you have worked with in your career in your native language. So perfect. Bear that in mind. Or imagine that you've been working in European entity, and then you've been using English, much less language. Think about that. Think about what is the language that you use to work with when you are talking about the statistics and all the statistical concepts and all these elements. Because this is an automatism. If you're used to spend yourself in one certain working language, let's say English, as is the most common case, and if you try to explain the same things, the same concept, the same elements in another language, even in your native language, sometimes you struggle. You say, oh, well, how was that say in my language? My case, Spanish. If I try to explain some concepts in a different language than English, that the ones I used to work with, I really struggle. I cannot find easily the words, or I cannot identify them easily. For in the multiple choice, that's the issue. Our suggestion is always choose a language that is in line with the one that you work with. So it will trigger easily your memories. It will trigger your capacity to link concepts and answer the question, understand the questions, say, because they will be technical, they will be in relation with, and I will explain a bit more later on the area of statistics. So that's why it's so important the right selection of the language. The written test also will be in relation with the statistics. So second reason to select a language linked to that. And answering to the question that appeared on the chat, no, they won't allow you any paper, anything when you are taking the exam. Remember that now the exam is done on a computer, usually your computer, and it's on the screen, and it's your laptop or your fixed computer. Technical instructions are already uploaded on EPSO, so you can see the reference for that. And that's it. You are not entitled to have any paper, no physical calculator is not allowed either. Anything on the table, if I remember correctly, you are entitled to have a transparent glass of water if need be, and I think, and I don't remember if a napkin it was possible, but that's it. That's everything you can have. So no pen, paper, and anything. Compared to the old model, the physical model, let's call it like that, when you have a examination center, yeah, it's different. We need to adapt, and you need to adjust the strategy. But that's it. I mean, it's not more difficult, not if you prepare accordingly. Okay. I'm sorry, one moment. Yes. Okay. So that was regarding a little bit on the introduction of the languages and the exams. As I say, I will come back to the exams later. But now the second important thing, or most important thing. Oh, yes, sorry. So the question is: there a screen to note things? Yes, it's a scratch pad. You have a white area, it's like the notepad of Windows, where you can take some notes with the numbers. So, yes, but for the numeric, our advice is always first plan the strategy, and then second operate. Don't start writing on the scratch pad. You will waste time and resources. No, yes. First, good reading, understanding, plan your strategy, and then you operate. At that moment, that will give you the success. Okay. Now the big question: am I eligible for field one data and statistics? This is important. This is part on the point 3.31 field one. This is the conditions to be eligible. They are clear. They say at least one of the following points. Please, this is very important because we always get questions about this. I'm eligible. Do you think? And they are strict. Everything that appears there needs to be backed, supported with evidence. Meaning, if you got a degree, you say that I studied at university for 3 years. Better you have your degree with you, or documents that prove that you got your degree. And for the experience, the same. You need the contract, you need the social security documents, or any other kind of official evidence, formal evidence. I know for sometimes for employment, you just need a document for the company that is formal evidence, not official. So, but still, remember everything that appears here needs to be backed with documents. This is important. And the different combinations. So we see that if we have a shorter degree, we need more experience, always in the field. Okay, and this is important also because they open the field in the different studies. Yes, like that. So meaning just from statistics to economics. So 14 degrees. But wait, my degree was called numbers. Well, no problem, no problem. Numbers is not listed like that, but you can explain in your application that what the degree called numbers included a lot of courses training on statistics and so on. So, okay, fine. There is a certain degree of flexibility if the names doesn't fit exactly these ones. It will be strange, but not impossible. So that's why it's relevant. Okay. Mhm. And Fran, can we use table once? No, please check the instructions in EPSO webpage regarding the technical considerations. They are quite strict. You cannot have external devices, not Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, anything. You just need a mouse connected by cable to your computer, and the computer with the camera on. So, and not external screen. That's possible unless you have an external camera and everything's connected to the computer. So they're quite strict, and you will get a lot of information from EPSO. So check those parts. And regarding the payrolls, too, depends. We will see that in a moment. So as I was saying about the experience and important in point two, or so, EE. The education requirement refers to in this point will also be considered the PhD. Remember, PhD usually is accepted as a 3 years of working experience as well. And in this case, they accept this as an education requirement. If any one of you is a doctor, is there any doctor in the room? So you know that. And also there is a possibility that if your studies are not at all in the areas that showcases on the right, still you have a chance. So you see on the third point of the level, education corresponds to a complete university studies of at least 3 years attested by a diploma in a field other than those referred on the column on the right, followed by 6 years of experience, relevant experience. Meaning, if you've been working as a lawyer, you're a lawyer, fine. But law is not among the list of items. Oh, but wait, I've been working 20 years as a lawyer. No, you are not eligible. Wait, but yeah, it is the law. But then I follow some trainings of statistics, and I've been working as a statistician for the last 10 years. Then you fill in the criteria because you need at least 6 years. So 10 years, fine. That's okay. That's perfect. Okay. Always read carefully these elements and be careful when it says and slash or. It's different. Here is must be one of the full points marked here, one of the three of them. That's for the field one. Summarizing, you got here again the same information. Studies and experience, 3 years degree, 4 years of experience. 4 years degree, only 3 years of experience. They compensate. If it's not relevant, 6 years of experience. Um, and also remember that in the notice they indicate the areas of working experience to be considered relevant. So it gives you a good indication of the elements that you need to fill in your application. And we will come back on this because we want to insist. This is a key part. So, but the information is here. You see, everything is in notice and the description. And again, if something, the title, the heading doesn't match 100%, but in, in the content, you know your career better than anyone. You've been working as a statistician, you've been working in this domain, you just need to explain in your application, give them information. This is the key part. Don't stay only on the, oh no, this word doesn't match 100%. Wait, the word not, but all my experience, yes, that's fine. Okay, so what about the field two? Okay, just one moment, I will come back to your question, friend. So for the macroeconomic statistics, so have at least have the question corresponding university 3 years and 7 years of relevant professional experience. But why is this here? They asking for more years? If even if you got a diploma that is in the relevant fields like statistics, mathematics, economics, or business administration, simple because this is an 87. This is a higher level in the administration, in the European administration, so it requires minimum 6 years of experience. In this case, 7 years because the degree is 3 years. If you get 4 years, then it's 6 years. That's fine. So, but other elements that they need to be taken into account when they say the education requirement refer to this point, also with the PhD. So read carefully these requirements because maybe not everybody who got a degree on the areas required, but got other elements. And then all the third option have a level of education corresponding to complete university studies of at least 3 years attested by a diploma in a field other than, so with 8 years. So still quite open possibilities. With the limited fact that we need at least 8 years of experience in the worst case scenario. And just coming back also to Fran's question regarding the bodies. Yes, they ask the professional experience might be related to one or more from activities undertaken with an official statistical body or research policy institution, collection, compilation, analysis. I mean, when they say research policy institution, that could be not only public entities, but you will need to explain, you will need to show them that your work has been done in the areas described in Annex 3. because this is the other mm, element I wanted to introduce a bit later, but now I'm going for it any case. In annex to describe the task that you're expected to perform. So more or less they're looking for people who have performed this task. So how to perform this task is true that most likely scenario you've been working on a public institution to perform them. But you have done something equivalent. You have done those tasks, but not exactly in a public institution. It was a private entity, but it was doing the same things. Fine, explain it. I mean, remember that you need to explain things. I mean, they don't. I mean, your application will be corrected, reviewed by human beings, not by machines. So they will go through your application, they will read it, and they have to get a clear understanding of what you can offer and how you fulfill the criteria that they ask in the notice of competition. That's why it's so important that we explain these things. The application, I think, allows you to explain these elements. So it's important that we mention where we have been working, the type of institution, the task that we have performed aligned with the Annex 3. And also for on top of it, remember this element, how is the professional experience taken into account regarding the percentage of it if you haven't been doing other tasks, then meaning that they may apply a correction factor on your working experience. Imagine you've been working half time as a statistician, half time as a purely economist, not related at all with statistics, if possible, just inventing on the spot. So they may say, okay, only 50% of the experience is relevant, so meaning they will take into account 50% of the time. And if you're working like that for 4 years, meaning they will consider only 2 years. Simple as that. And also, it means being acquired after the required minimum education qualification. This is important as well. Effective and genuine work, meaning you need a paid salary. If you imagine that you're being subcontracted by a public entity to perform the activities, fine, that's perfectly fine. You just need to give the invoices, the evidence that prove it. I mean, you don't need to provide a document for each day of work, but at least an overview that gives a substantive evidence that the experience that you are claiming in your application is real. Okay, this is an important thing. So it's, if you allow me to say, it's a more question of common sense than strictly one document or another, because each country they have their own systems. Everything that is legal and valid and accepted in one member state, it will be accepted by EPSO as evidence. But sometimes we will need to explain, we will need to put in a certain order the documents. We need to be careful that everything's understandable, because they will check our application. They will say, okay, the candidate is eligible, and then they will check that everything, that all the information that made us eligible is real. They will check against the documents, but that part will happen only at the end of the competition. That verification of the documents, yes, despite the fact that you have to upload the documents before. Yes, you uploaded before the October, early October, in your case, but they will be checked these documents only at the end. Why then I am supposed to upload it before October? Just because this should be aligned with your application. The experience only counts until the day you submit your application. But I'm still working on this statistical entity. Yes, but it doesn't count. Only counts if you submit your application today, let's say 3rd of July, meaning your experience counts from the very first day you started there to the 3rd of July. Nothing else. So that's why all this procedure. Okay. But again, you see, this is extracted from the notice of competition. We are not inventing anything. It's part of the annexes. This is a screenshot. So go and check. Um, that's one thing. But now we are moving to the application itself, to how we register the data. They have simplified a little bit the form. So I think it's good. I think it's a bit better. So you see how it's the menu. You select the language for the test and everything. So just language one, language two. You get the warning on top with the asterisk that is compulsory information. At the bottom of the screen, you see a menu with some statistical in questions or survey questions, if you allow me. These are not compulsory in the sense that doesn't commit you anything to answer this question, but they will help them do the profile or to know better what they can expect from the candidates of the competition. And also, what is important, I didn't put the red square, but it's important. Yeah, at the bottom, special requirement. That one, yes. Imagine that, I don't know, any one of you has dyslexia, and you need some assistance, or you are entitled to have some kind of help when taking the exam to guarantee that all of you have the same opportunities. So that's the moment to indicate. Okay, it should be some problem that affects your your performance in the exam. Meaning that, imagine that you need a special chair to sit in front of the computer. That is not up to EPSO. That is up to you. But if you just need maybe you are blind and you need a special software to read the exam, so tell them, because they need to adapt the IT tool to allow you to take the exam in the same conditions as any other candidate. Don't forget that, because if you don't mark it now, then um, uh, it's more difficult, far more difficult to get some help on assistance on the exam. Sorry. Okay, so for the application, then again, they will tell you can fill in into 24 languages, better in English, honestly. Not because I'm so asked, but at least you'll know what you are filling in. I mean, if you use one of the majority languages, one of the big languages, and with all due respect, I'm just following the numbers, meaning French, Italian, Spanish, even German, it's very likely that the assessors, those who review your applications to check your eligibility profile or the eligibility of your profile, they can speak those languages. Fine, so they don't need to translate them. Just go through them. Fine. But imagine that is a Maltese. You are entitled to use Maltese or Estonian or Latvian, small languages by the number of speakers. So can we guarantee that the episode will have a native speaker or a proficient speaker or a reader of the language to review your application? Not necessarily. It depends on the total amount of applications, but usually episode is short of stuff. So, and they may need to translate for reading your application. So sometimes it's better if we do the translation. We know what is on our document, rather depend on third parties translation that we don't know if they will capture all the elements and all the information we want to put. That's why it's important to be smart when we select in which language we are filling in the application. Okay, this is one thing. And yes, in the application also you have the motivation and strengths. This is a classic. This has been a thing for, no, I don't recall how many years in the application apps applications. And no, it's not evaluated. You don't get marks. You don't get better eligibility passing mark or something like that. No, but it helps, or the answers help to know you better, in the sense that they read them and they understand better what they are reading then in the part of the professional experience, academic background. So it helps them to complete the picture if needed, to understand better the candidate and assess the eligibility of this candidate. That's why this part is important. You take seriously. It will also help you to structure the information, to be short and sharp on the information you want to share with them. So that's why I always take seriously this part, please. And then on the languages, let's not forget, remember you will need at least one B2 and one C1 on the languages, at least, just to be sure that you fill in the criteria of the languages. Simple. I mean, if you speak more languages, just mark them, but at least minimum two languages, particularly your language one and language two in the competition, need to be B2, C1 for language one and B2 for language two, if I remember correctly now. So that's why it's so important filling correctly in, in the in the application. Yeah, I mean, I know this is quite easy, and you say, "Come on, this is a platitude. Everybody knows that." Sure, fine, okay, but also we have seen cases where people made very silly mistakes and fail, or were expelled, or they were canceling a competition just because they didn't fit in the criteria because a mistake while filling in the application. We don't want that. That's why we keep insisting on these elements. So sorry if we are too insistent. Yeah. Then on the experience, on the working experience, so you will have to fill in it. As I say before, here's not a question that um, I mean, well, the name and others of the employee, that's clear, so there's no much doubt. But I know that the occupation and the nature of the duty sometimes create some hesitation, some doubts on the candidate to know what is the information that you are supposed to put there. Fine. I mean, there's some degree of freedom. It's not that the information is fixed, but what is fixed is that information needs to be very clear. That's the single condition. So make it clear what was your occupation. Our suggestion is follow the in the notice what professional experience. So that's what good moment to explain that you were working on population social statistics, business and trade statistics, well, elements marked by the notice there. That's for the occupation, and for the nature of the duties, use the Annex 3 to describe the task that you have performed, the areas of responsibility you had, that there. You can see the Annex 3 here. So this is for field 1. So you see it's quite complete. I'm not saying that you copy paste it. No, I'm just saying that read it, see what are the areas of your expertise. So use it to explain it, so make them understandable, because what you got here is how they see your job in the institutions. So these are the things they're looking for. These are the things that they will be reading. These are the things that we are guaranteed that they will understand. So if you have performed an equivalent task to anything that appears on the screen now, but you name it differently, you have a different, well, its job, its institution, its entity has an argot, has a jargon, their own elements. So maybe you have completely different words, but you know by your experience that is a completely equivalent. Please translate. Move from one jargon to the European jargon that appears in the Annex 3. Okay, so use those words to explain and to make it clearly visible, these elements that you feel in the experience. Okay. Okay, maybe just I made a typo and I put Annex 3 and it's Annex 2. That could be perfectly, because in another notice it was Annex 3. So maybe I made the mix. Sorry for that. So we will, don't worry, when we will upload the PowerPoint, we will correct the typo on that part. So thanks for spotting it. Yeah, because that's something that changes by, so sometimes they change the order of the annexes. So not always is a mess. So, but good, you got the point. So that's for field 1, but for field 2, it's exactly the same thing. So explain the professional experience, general statistical methodology, macroeconomic fiscal statistics, give information. If it's in the field, if it's because you fill in the profile that they are seeking, information, the better information you give, the more information you give, the better. And then for the nature of duties, again, you use the annexes, let's call it like that to avoid more mistakes. Macroeconomic statistics, you see national accounts, data review. Well, here maybe it's a bit shorter, but still quite complete in terms of wording, content, to know what you need to fill in your application. Okay, that was that. I mean, it will take time. It won't be something that you can do in 5 minutes, or at least don't do it in 5 minutes. Give yourself, I mean, depends how many entries, because imagine you've been working for 20 years in the same institution. Okay, fine. I mean, yes, that should be one entry. Maybe you have been in different institutions, different positions, so you can have different entries. So it will take some time. That's fine. And also, it will take some time. And my advice is try to fill in first in Word, just to get the typos, errors, because then the interface that the EPSO has for correcting these kind of things is not the most friendly tool. So better if you use the system to check this part. Also, considering that you have maximum 1,500 characters on each of the points. So that's for the working experience, and then of course at the end the eligibility, the final confirmation that you fulfill all the elements, so and you're happy with it, and you can submit your application. In any case, just Is in the latest competitions, it used to be a couple of times they will ask you to, are you sure that you want to submit your application? Please enter your password to submit your application. So it's not anymore a question of making a mistake. Oh, I sent my application by mistake. I didn't want. Can I correct it? No, it's cast on stone. Once you submit, it's done. So please check before submitting. Not a big deal. We are not asking much for that. And don't think I mean, if you submit by mistake, sorry, you have already said yes, confirming and putting your password. So don't make that mistake. That will be a big blunder. We don't want that. And yeah, of course, what we say always, you take your application seriously and you're as good as your explanation is. I mean, EPSO doesn't care if you say, "Oh, I have 30 years of working experience in statistics, in the domain of statistics." Good. More information? No, I have 30 years. Yes, but can you give me more? No. So you're not eligible because I don't know. You claim 30 years, but give me more information. No, look, I got a degree in law, but after I started to work on statistics for 8 years, I've been doing this task, working with this data, doing these activities and so on. Oh, well, explain. Okay, well, we can consider that 8 years are valid, are 8 years. So fine, you are eligible. So your explanation is what counts. It's not what you got because they don't know you. They need to know you and they will know you through the application. As simple as that. So that was the thing. So few advices to fill in the application. Obvious, maybe, but still we see that are pertinent. So avoid long sentences. Remember, the interface is not the best, it's not the most visible. So think about the person who will have to read your application. Make life easy to this person. So sentences, try to make them short, no more than 25 words per sentence. I'm saying this for some native speakers of certain languages, for instance, my native Spanish, where you can really create very, very long sentences just by adding new elements and new elements and new elements, subjunctives, subordinate sentences. So don't do that. I mean, try to be sharp. I mean, better to have a lot of points rather than a lot of commas. So one main idea per sentence, but small paragraph, that's it. So facilitate the reading. Think about, try to picture yourself reading a long, lengthy, thick document after having been working hard the whole day. So it's after 7 hours, you've been working very, very hard, and now you have to read a very thick, difficult document. For God's sake, that will be terrible, right? That's the situation of the sensors. Imagine they have been reading application after application, dozens of them, and they come to yours. If they see something difficult to read, I mean, they will do their best. They will try to keep their objectivity, but at the same time, it will be harder. They will miss items because they were not visible. But if you make life easy, they will appreciate. It will facilitate that they take into account your whole experience. So when you have to list activities, don't be afraid of using bullet points. The interface doesn't allow me to have bullet points. For God's sake, you have the keyword. You can use asterisk, plus, signs, something like that. So, but avoid the big block of text. So something like this thick, no, small paragraphs, much better. If you want to send or to share a key element, a key information, a key experience, please put it at the top of the paragraph or at the bottom. In the middle, especially when the paragraph is start to have more than 4 lines, it can get lost because sometimes when we are reading fast, we just skip the central part and we read the beginning and the end. No, if we want to have impact, beginning or end. And I mentioned, but I insist, use the same vocabulary as they use in the notice because that's the language they use. That's the keywords they use, the ones that they have. So use them for your own sake. And the overall competition, how it's going to be. Timeline, very indicative because we've seen how things are. So you have until the 16th of July to submit your application. 2 weeks, fine. Then you will have your exam. So it's writing the case studies, not anymore called case studies, writing test to be precise. And you will have your exam foreseen, apparently based on the latest announcement by EPSO, in autumn. So when? In September, November, we don't know yet. Stay alert, and we will also inform you about that. Then after the exam, while they are doing the correction of the exams, those who get the highest marks, they will be check on the eligibility, is described in the notice. 1.5 times the number of spots, they will be checked on the eligibility. That's the usual proportion. I think yours, I think I also included it. But I'm using my memory. You see, the point of not doing the screenshot of that part, that is always good to go to the notice. Then reserve list, and they will issue the interviews. We expect that there will be, if everything goes fine, should be early 2025. That's the end of the process. So 6 months, more or less. That's the final goal for it. Okay, let me see one moment in the chat. Okay. On the timeline, I mean, this is what we can say at this moment. I mean, based on the latest input, apparently the new platform is working well. So your competition should be far more consistent than economists, than transport, than nuclear scientists. But I cannot put my hand on the fire for EPSO. So we will stay alert. I am, for the sake of you, EPSO, and everyone who is trying to work in institutions, I really hope it will work. And this timeline that is now in purely indicative, based on our experience, will be respected by EPSO, and by the beginning of 2025, things go fine. Regarding the interviews, no, we don't know how many people can be called or how it's going to be the process, because this is completely new. That's the negative side of all this process, that still it's new. We haven't seen the end of it yet, but the moment a competition ends and we see how it works, we will inform you no matter how. Remember that we keep updating our post on the blog and on social media, and we will share this information as you know us. So that's one thing. Sorry. Does research policy institution also include experience in private research institution working with statistics data science? Yes, it could be. I mean, all it sounds mostly public institutions. I think that the task, the job that you have performed is in line with the things I are looking for, is valid, but you will have to explain. I'm not worried about the fact that it's a private institution. I'm worried about the fact that you don't explain that in your application, and then the information gets lost. And oh, it's a private institution. I don't see it out. No, wait. I explained you here. It's maybe it was private institution, but I perform all these tasks. I got my evidence here. Oh, that's perfectly fine. You are a right candidate, eligible for competition. So, so this is it. Oops. Yeah, as I was saying, in the past in the maps they put the here be dragons, in the sense that the mini selection process we don't know it, but our promise and our commitment is to inform you the day we know. Uh, if it goes in line with what we know from the past, that shouldn't be difficult. I mean, just a question of just an interview, submitting your CV, not your application for the competition, but your CV, and a process restricted only for those of you who are in the reserve list. What means that chances are much better to be selected. Okay, that's it. But yeah, I was mentioning the MCQ and the written test. Yeah, probably you're wondering what can you expect, some other ideas that we may have about it. Let's go for it very briefly. So it's not as well how it's going to be pass fail for the multiple choice. I'm not going to stop there. It's an all friend of us. In any case, you have other webinars and other materials that we got in our YouTube channel talking about the computer-based test, verbal, numerical, and abstract reasoning. So go there to check. Also, we have uploaded some exercises on video if you want to try. Then the field rate MCQ, just you need to pass it. Being honest, you don't not only need to pass, but you also need to get a good score, because the correction of the written test will be performed following the ranking order obtained from the field-related multiple choice questionnaire or questions. So that's why it's important. While in the written test, It doesn't matter if you get 5, 6, 7, 8, or 10. You just need to pass. That's it. Okay, good. So good, that's clear. But then, well, about the field rate MCQ, what can I study? What could be the questions? Statistics, yes. So based on experience, based on what we have seen in other competitions, theory of statistics, that's probably a must. Meaning, check with the duties, with the task of your profiles, what could be the theory of statistics involved. We saw in the economist exam that they asked for I wouldn't call basic because it was advanced, but it was advanced at the level of first year or second year of studies at the university in economics. So that could be the case for you, theory of statistics. We have just found a good selection of academic books on the theory of statistics. So we just put the link there. Some suggestions. This is not excluding anything. Please, if you have studies in statistics, go back to your books. They will be fine. I mean, I think the science of statistics didn't change. I mean, shouldn't change from one book to another. So that's perfectly fine. Also, some regulation that related to Eurostat and the statistics at the European level. That could be a must to know. So this is important. Also, on the political side, the governance bodies, Eurostat, and the different items, entities related, and within Eurostat, so the statistical terms and the glossary. Some questions could come from there. So this is to open your eyes on what are the areas that you should study or prepare. Okay. So, but yes, we can expect that they may go for theoretical knowledge in your exam. All things considered, makes sense. On the written test, the interesting part, you see the green mark. Candidates will require to respond to the test assignment based on the provided documentation related to the area of statistics. The documentation will be made available on EPSO website ahead of the test. Candidates will receive the same documentation during the test along with assignments based on it. So, what can we expect from here? First of all, that's clear. Documents will be in relation with the statistics. What kind of documents? We cannot tell, but some kind of European text on statistics could be the case. Usually, it's an academic text on statistics. Could be. The idea is that you are not supposed to prove here your knowledge on the field. See on top, they say candidates writing communication skills, but they will put you in a way that the topic is only accessible or easy for someone who master the concepts, who can communicate on those concepts. Although they are not assessing purely the knowledge, indirectly they do. That's why the documents will be in relation with your field. We can expect that documents may be the same for the two profiles, could be perfectly the same, although the same could differ from one profile to another. In any case, those candidates who are in profile 1 will get the same assignment, those in profile 2, the other same assignment. In principle, we can expect that you will have to do the exam all at the same time. So if that's what's happening, for sure the assignment will be exactly the same for all of you taking the exam at that moment. So, and you see 40 minutes, probably that's the trickiest part, the 40 minutes, because time flies. I mean, when you start typing 40 minutes, it feels like 4 minutes, no more than that. So careful with that. And coming back on the communication part, so you see that it's an episode web page to describe the famous anchors. And the anchors doesn't mean that you have to type structures the writing communication with a logical flow of ideas. Look, I put my anchor or the anchor on my text, right? No, it's not like that. It's just as simple that, okay, here you got my exercise. It's a structure. Yes, I see an structure. It's clear. It has a flow of ideas according to the assignment that you got. Yeah, makes sense. Then you have filled in the first anchor. You write concisely with the use of unnecessary words, meaning that you explain one sentence and you don't use a full paragraph to explain the same concept. Yes, that's excellent. That's super. So in this exercise, blah blah doesn't have surprise. It's just focus on one thing. Present subject matter in an understandable way. it's a part of the communication thing. So I think it's obvious, maybe, but you got it there as an anchor. Adapts tailor the writing to match the intended audience and purpose. Yes, this is key because imagine they ask you to write a text for general public, or to write a text for politicians or for fellow colleagues in the area of statistics. You won't write the same. I mean, ordinary citizen won't have the knowledge on statistics that you have, or a fellow colleague in the statistics will have. So the language changes, the communication changes. That's it. So I use the information provided to deal with assignment, meaning that if you are familiar with the field, oh yes, on this topic I did my PhD. I will astonish them with a lot of data and knowledge. No, I mean, if you got a document with certain amount of data and information, you use it and that's it. No more. Don't try to astonish them with extra knowledge because that's not the purpose. Use whatever you got, and and that's it. Don't go beyond there. So last but not least, and we are approaching the end. So well, remember 16th of July for delivering your application as the latest. You can do it earlier. 1st of October to upload the supporting documents, and that's it. Pay attention to your application and to your EPSO profile once a week, twice a week, to see if there are any news, because only the information that you get in your candidate profile is official and valid. The EPSO web page, it's indicative. They try to do the best to match the information, but only through your profile is official. So sometimes we have seen information that was wrong on the web because they uploaded earlier and they didn't update it or didn't change it. So, and that's important. And last but not least, what can we do for you in that sense? So just to cover the last piece of information, remember, you're witnessing today free webinars like this to help you with the application. We have CBT trainings on the competition generalists mostly, but also we are preparing a small package of questions on the MCQ on statistics. So hopefully by the mid end of July will be ready. So also we have assessment sessions, preparation for interviews. Maybe not in the framework of this competition yet, but if you have any other interview, we may help you with that, and of course with the application review. If you think that we can help you on that, we also have that service. And of course, to follow us and to see what we publish for free on videos, materials, and so on, we have our Telegram channel, we have our Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So don't hesitate to follow us on that part. And now we're moving to your questions. So let me go back to the chat. There was, for nuclear, we will receive the text 2 weeks before. It's not the same for this one. Yes, in principle, for nuclear and for all, should be around 2 weeks before. But the notice, you already saw the capture. They said when you will receive it. They need to follow the notice. If in the notice is not indicated the time period, experience tells us that usually it's 2 weeks, 10 days that they upload the documents for you for preparing the written test. That's it. More questions, more comments?
Yes. Hello, Inigo. Thank you for your presentation. I would like to know where you have to indicate the percentage of your experience in the, because I haven't seen it.
Why do you want to indicate the percentage of your experience?
Yeah, where?
Unless, no, I mean,
Where in
unless,
the experience, in the nature of duties, in the where?
no, but I mean, if you've been working half time, then you
Yes.
should indicate here somewhere you could on the occupation, you could indicate that it was half time for occupation.
Okay. Mhm.
And also
Okay.
when you introduce your values for computing the time experience.
Hmm. Okay. Thank you.
My pleasure. Any other question or comment? Sorry if I talk too much because we are
Maybe one
what?
question
Yes.
here,
Go
if I
ahead.
may. Just like because I remember for nuclear, you were also saying how much time should we use to study and should we dedicate to study. Do you have any particular different suggestion for this one? Like,
For nuclear, I don't think it was during our webinar on most common questions that we see, offer some strategies of study. So this should be more or less valid as well for this competition. On the time frame that we did, I remember of four or two axis graph on the hours per week. Sorry, but in any case, it always depends. The last word is on you, meaning if you have used frequently the theory of statistics, the elements that we use that we listed as potential cookies content for the multiple choice, and you're quite familiar, maybe you don't need so much time to dedicate here because you recover. If you already been working, but this some parts of here you're completely unknown for you, you may need to dedicate a bit more time. That's one thing. The CBT is same thing. Maybe you are completely new in this competition, so it will take you more time to get familiar with the test and to get up to speed. Some others who are already veterans of this competition, you are familiar, so you just need a couple of hours per week on the CBT, no more than that will affect. And then last but not least, the writing test. For God's sake, please practice, 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 practice. This is very important because these 40 minutes, believe me, they fly. When you get the documents 2 weeks before, more, more or less, still it's you will have time to prepare. You will have time to think, but it's only 2 weeks, and also you will be a bit under pressure to review, recapitulate on the multiple choice, and to do something else. Plus, maybe you're working. So you won't have as much time as you think you will have. So now that we have the summer ahead of us, take some of the exercises. I mean, you can even use the case studies that are still uploaded on EPSO webpage that they were general. Fine, they were general, but you just take it, use the documents, don't read the assignment, and then read the assignment on the spot and use 40 minutes to deliver to see that. Follow the same strategy on that part. Practice. I mean, and probably this one writing test is the most time consuming in the sense of purely practice, but I think it pays off if you get used to work under such pressure and you get the feeling before the real competition starts of what is to work in 40 minutes for using some sorts of materials that may demand a lot of concentration and a clear structure on the spot.
okay, good. And just one question more, because like as I understood, like we are ranked based on the outcome of the written test and of the of the content exam. So in this case, the statistics. Is there any percentage? I mean, is there any exam which is more important than the other? Like, is it more important the written, or is it more important the content exam?
I stop sharing just to go back to the notice, just to share it with you. So let's do it together. Let's check it together. I think it's always important. So you will see how important are these things. Mm, You should be watching my screen now, right? Okay. So if we go through the notice, we'll just see the criteria for the eligibility. Fine. Then we start to go, how will competition be organized? Overview of the competition procedures, application, testing, scoring of the written test and eligibility check, establishment of reserve list. So we go there. Don't forget 1st of October. Testing there. And they remind you this. Written test. And this is something in the capture I already saw you. The written test. The test will be scored to determine if the candidate achieved the required pass score, pass or fail. So we know that, and we get writing test. The writing test, same as assessing candidates writing communication. I already said that. The writing test is not a language test. That is important also to remember, because if you are taking the writing test in English, it's not a proficiency for certificate exam. It's just a simple communication skill. So we don't need to be expert. We just need to be efficient. So, and then the scoring of the written test and eligibility check. Scoring the written test and eligibility check will be carried out in parallel. This will be performed in the standing order of the ranking referring section 4.342. So welcome to the typical style of the institutions on how they address this. So if we go to that, we go to the field-related MCQ. So the important part is the MCQ, meaning that you need to get a high score there to be sure that you are among the top candidates, so you get your writing test reviewed. And as I mentioned before, for each field, no more than 1.5 times the number of successful candidates, meaning they got 194 spots foreseen in the field one, meaning that they will correct more or less 300 writing tests, no more than 300 written tests. With that, they're trying to cover those who are not eligible and those who will fail the written test. And considering the written test, you just need 5 out of 10. So once you have mastered the time, once you have mastered the 40 minutes thing and you're capable of delivering a good exercise in 40 minutes, I think this part is more or less covered. I mean, I'm assuming all of you are professionals. You don't in your domain, statistics. You know that part, no problem. So it's just you need to showcase in 40 minutes. So yeah, it may take some time, but once you have mastered that part, it's done. For the multiple choice, there is always much more uncertainty, as questions could be more theoretical, could decide to be more on the legal institutional part. For this profile and this competition is unlikely, but still it's a possibility. So on that one is the one that we really need to ace it and get a great result, because our whole exam will depend on that. But still, the other parts are relevant because we need to pass them. So this is how it works in this competition. So you need to work the three of them. But the good point is the, as I say, for the computer-based tests, verbal, numerical, and abstract reasoning, and for the written test, once you have a good performance, you have covered the minimum required, you are more or less in I wouldn't say safe zone because you may get overconfident, but you are in a good shape to confront the challenge of the exam, while the multiple choice will require full concentration and work until the very end to be sure that you cover any eventual question that may appear. Sometimes, I mean, there's only be a few competitions yet with the multiple choice on the field, so meaning that the trends are not just not well marked yet, so we cannot reconfirm that part. That's why it requires a bit more attention, a bit more effort. At least how we see it. Sorry for the long answer.
It's great, actually. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Okay, any other question or comment? Otherwise, well, this is it for the moment. Stay tuned. We will upload shortly on YouTube the video recording of today's presentation. Please, if you haven't submitted your application, work on it. Submit before the 16th of July, and we stay in touch. Okay. Um, Thank you, everyone. See you.